Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's a Wild Hunt Wednesday. We are going to be covering a deck that's pretty similar to a lot of ones you've seen on ladder. I've made my own tweaks to it, but this deck is the best! It's the best! It's the best deck! No, but seriously, I'm getting really annoyed at certain meta reports from certain famous places right now that keep showing all of the stats with monsters having the highest win rate. And just like showing no love to where Overwhelming Hunger is placed in terms of the meta reports. There's like a cognitive dissonance that exists there that I just can't get my mind around. So we're gonna show you how it is. Gonna treat it like what it is. This is the best deck out there. Obviously, there's some tweaks or iterations you can make to any of the decks. There's a few reasons for why this deck is bonkers good. I'm going to walk you through them. Make your own tweaks. Again, I've made mine. Make it your own. Have fun with it. If you're trying to push up ladder and get to pro, like I'm just about to do likely, then this is a deck you can use. This is a deck you probably should use. It's pretty nuts. So first off, Haunt is bonkers good points. There's a lot of Death Wish cards that we have in deck here, and they all... they obviously they boost Desert Banshee every time you play with her. She allows you to have a consume on the board. Bargus gives you another consume, and then Night Wraith is going to be a unit that is consumable that you can then use for value. Obviously, like there's some rats, there's some weakness to Row Punish, there's some tall units that are weak to like shield wall removals, but it just honestly doesn't matter that much because your units are worth so many points. Ikarin, we all know. Detlef with two consumes plays for 15 points with this leader charge. He plays for 19 points, so that's insane. Naglfar is crazy good, and I don't know why people haven't come onto it. It's also very good outside of Devotion. Probably the best gold tutor card in the game for the provision cost, consistency, and what it allows you to do by getting a card to hand for the upcoming turn. So really not great in third round, but otherwise pretty freaking awesome, right? So there you go. Ardgaith, we all know. Basically, Ardgaith exists in here for punish. There are a couple of dominance cards. They really don't matter all that much. You're able to usually get it easy enough. But Winter Queen, this is a devotion deck, so she does get Thrive. Usually I only trigger that once or twice max. So if you want to trim her out and add something else in, you can. I just find that the Thrives are helpful. But more importantly, she's an amazing she's an amazing thinning card that can be tutored out by Ardgaith really easy. Like easier than Ailerin. And she can play for more points, and Ailerin is more provisions. So like she comes out, has an engine ability locked with her. And has lower provision costs than Ailerin. So Ailerin takes multiple cards to play. She really only takes one. She's crazy good. Honestly, a little bit broken in my opinion. Gael's obviously here just for consistency with Ardgaith and Naglfar. You know, you could probably take him out, honestly, and still be okay. Some people really care about consistency. Since I'm showing a deck and I want to show you how it works, we're going to go with consistency. But you know my mantra on this is like have as many points in a deck as possible, be able to beat other people in mirror matches, and that's what makes a really good deck. Now, it did have Maruna in it. Candidly, I don't find Maruna finds great value nowadays. By the time I'm willing to get her down, she always steals like the 2-point unit instead of the 4-point unit. She always steals the one that's not an engine instead of the one that is. Manticore's just better, and it's 2 provisions cheaper, and it plays for an extra point on my side. So I can kill stuff like Donamir as a really good example for something that I like to erase right away. I can also just play him late in the round and destroy a 1-point rat, and he's still close to value of those 7 provisions. So even at his worst, Manticore still plays really well. And if nothing else, it's a great threat card. So if you're going up against somebody who has like Glusty, and you know that they're gonna eat all of their rats and all your rats, you just be like, hey, here's my Manticore, go ahead, make the play, go ahead and do it. And by doing so, you force the opponent to make improper choices, poor plays, etc., etc. Werecat is one of the best techs in the game, period, no questions asked. I don't even need to go into that. Striga is just great removal. Plays for 9 points for 7 provisions. Pretty freaking awesome. I added in Parasite just because Parasite helps you with that dominance play. If you need it, I rarely use it for boost, but 6 points of removal is really helpful. There is only one bruiser, so you do need to be careful of that. Honestly, if you could add something back in, it would be another bruiser. There's only one in Draga Warrior as well. You could trim out a Noon Wraith, but I find that there's enough consumes with Haunt. And so basically, like, count this out. You need a consume on Dettlift. You can consume Ikran if you want. I don't really worry about it in this deck. But Dettlift, you need to consume twice, and then you need to be able to consume Manticore and or Werecat. So you have like 4 really important consumes, and you can get a couple of those with Haunt, and then whatever else you need with Draga Warrior. So that's kind of where that falls for me. I don't really like 2 Draga Warriors because I just end up discarding one, and it just becomes annoying, and I hate having it. So that's where we are. A lot of talk about the deck. Let's go play it. Again, this deck is the best. It really, seriously, guys, Overwhelming Hunger is nuts. I think I think what happened last season is happening this season, where people are like, "Oh no, it's that deck. That deck is the problem. Shield Wall is the problem. No, Shield Wall's so bad." When really Skellige had the highest win rate. Skellige was the most oppressive deck. Rage of the Seas was still bonkers good, and that's happening again this season. Actually, if you look at the stats, Northern Realms is performing 3rd with Monsters number 1 and Skellige number 2. So just a little bit different from last season. But Northern Realms Shield Wall is not the best deck. It is also very, very temperamental. Like, you really have to play well with it. I think the one reason that it's getting so much love is just because Nilfgaard is trash, and Nilfgaard is the best counter to Northern Realms. If you saw my video yesterday, you saw that great quote from Slav Squirrel, who just said that, like, control beats engines. Engines should beat mid-range. Mid-range should beat control. That's how the cycle should work. And that's what the functional aspect of the game should be. And if you're looking for it to be different than that, don't. I don't know what else to tell you. Alright, so we're on blue coin here. I really care about Wild Hunt Rider. I care about Ardgaith. Naglfar is also nice. It means we're going to brick with Gaels, though. So, you know, we're going to draw to see if we can get him. And if we can get him, we'll put Ardgaith back. I would also like to see maybe like a Draga Larva in here. Okay, I don't want to brick with that. Alright, we did a lot of bricks here. So, Naglfar is going to get us 2 out of our many golds. So we just want to stay aware of what that is. So, and again, name me another gold tutor for 9 provisions, let alone more than that. That is a factional tutor that can be tutored by a different tutor that gets you your scenario. Okay? Name me one. If you can name me one, you get bonus points. Here we're just going to go for Wild Hunt Riders. Scoia'tael definitely doesn't have that card. Not that'll get you your artifacts. Not that will get you your, I mean, you have a card that'll get you your traps, but there aren't any really good traps, right? There's a lot of, like, mediocre traps. And there's no tutor that'll get you that tutor because it's not a nature card. It's a tactic card. So Menno Cohorn could get it for you, but they can't get it themselves. Battle Trance does have a lot of tempo to it. Can get pretty nasty. I don't really care. Imperial Manticore is going to be nice for later on. We'll just save him. So Scoia'tael doesn't have it. Northern Realms certainly doesn't have it. Amphibious Assault is the weakest for the provision cost of any of the factional tutors that exist. Like, it has some really cool synergy plays that you can make with it. I like it, don't get me wrong. But for 13 provisions, it costs as much as Oniromancy. It's just kind of bonkers. And it's part of a group of cards in Warfare that are just garbage comparatively. Mad Charge has gotten a little bit better. Reinforcements has some cool stuff with, like, Sentry and Knights. And Blue Stripe Commandos, but that's kind of it. Really not much else. Okay, here we are going to play out a few cards. We are going to get some good. We are going to be able to get a few Thrive triggers, so we're just going to go ahead and play Ardgaith. Also finds guaranteed, unless the opponent plays something with armor, which they almost certainly won't, it's going to find us 6 points of value to melee and 4 points of value to range. So, pretty happy about that. If you're going up against Overwhelming Hunger, there's not much you can do because Werecat and Ardgaith both threaten, so you can get that like force onto the same row, nuke the row with Werecat. Just unhappy times against Overwhelming Hunger. Continuing my analysis, you don't get that with you certainly don't get an artifact tutor. All right, fascinating. Yeah, let's go ahead for an NL Conqueror here. Oh, actually, let's go Manticore. Again, Manticore is just going to force suboptimal plays. We'll pull Lamp Chain. The opponent here just getting punished. Forcing us to kind of call this quits. But just because of how much we can just punish the opponent, even though we break with that Foglet, we have a couple of breaks carried here, right? Ardgaith has already played. We do break into Foglet as predicted. So we do need to get out Ikrin here. All the rest of this is pretty good tempo. Don't really need this in Draga Warrior. But we can get him to work with Detlef if needed. But I don't think that's what we want to go for here. So we're just going to go ahead and go for Ikrin. It's 8 points of value. They don't really have, unless it's a heat wave, there's not much that Skellige can do about Ikrin. If you wanted, you could use a leader charge to go ahead and consume it. That'll put it in your graveyard. You then have a guaranteed draw with your Ozrel, so that can be helpful.
What do you need?
Sigurdrifa's right with Ceres makes no sense to me. Maybe the opponent knows of some magical power that I don't.
A grave error.
But we'll say mean things, because that's how I like to do it. And that's how you can get a win. Is just some people, I guess, haven't played Skellige, didn't know that Sigurdrifa's right is not play, it is summon. Anyway, finishing my analysis, Nilfgaard certainly doesn't have it. They do have Menno as one of the best tutors in the game for specials. Obviously, lots of neutrals that they can draw into. With Devotion, I think that's partially why Nilfgaard's fallen so far off, because those neutrals are harder to use. Oh, this is great. Patricidal Fury is just going to find no value against Overwhelming Hunger. And one second. Now I'm back to my spot where I need to be thinking again. Okay, we're looking for some of our tutors here. Oh. Okay. Now you have a couple of options. Some people actually like to play their Endrega Larvaes all into the same turn. You know, it's up to you. Everybody gets to make their own choices. So Nilfgaard doesn't have it, Northern Realms doesn't have it, Scoia'tael doesn't have it. But welcome to those of you just joining on Twitch. Strange Nutcase and Lionel Gustafson, thank you for joining. We're doing a recording for YouTube for next week. This deck is called The Best. It's the best deck. It's just the best deck. I don't have anything else to say. I kind of do want to go for Endrega Larvaes. My only concern is, like, we have Wild Hunt Riders, Foglets, Gaels, Ardgaith, Naglfar, Haunt. Those are all still in the deck. So they would be nice to save another engine, but it's just crazy points, man. We can't all be geniuses. We can't all be geniuses is true. And if you haven't joined on Twitch, please do. We have a total riot. Always good stuff going on there. Thanks for playing. That's kind of like the perfect play for us. I do really like Parasite. Parasite is such a great removal card. 6-point removal is so nice. I think Giga Scorpion Decoction is obviously the best to be able to chew through shields and such like that. Oh, just incredible value. This deck, like, Overwhelming Hunger makes Patricidal Fury look like an impotent nerd. There's just nothing they can do. Just nothing they can do to stop you. Now, Ikran does need to get consumed right away just because of how much value it is. But I'm going to show you guys some nutty stuff you can do to just ruin Skellige's day. So their best cards are change turn over turn, right? So Harald is always worth 5. Turgvi is worth 5. Hemdall's worth 8. You know, the Skirmisher's worth 5. So, or the Tursic Invader, the veiled female unit that has no other trigger. She just has veteran. She turns to 7 by round 7. So hopefully this getting slash comes down onto Goliath. No. Well, one can wish. So if you have an insect, it can be a little bit better with that. Detlef is probably way too much, but here we're just going to consume. We're just going to consume Goliath. Because fun. Great swords are 10. So lots of units. I mean, the great sword summon is not the best. But again, just forcing suboptimal plays from the opponent. I mean, great sword kind of sucks just because they get him back out of graveyard, right? Hunger is OP. This deck is the best, Alper. Thank you for joining. But this deck is the best. It's the best. It's just the best. I mean, no. So he can trigger and get a bunch of points that way. I mean, last day is pretty valuable this game. That's the truth of the matter. So we can trigger again. Boom, boom, boom. And we'll probably use Ikern with a leader consumption if he continues to contest. That should put this game in the grave. We'll just save Detlef for Haunt. But I do value last day against Skellige. Yeah, this is fine. Any unit we play that gets damaged will be unfortunate. So here we can play Ikra now. Had we played it next turn, it would only get 1 armor and then it would immediately die. So we are going to play it. It's going to take that hit, proc those thrives, use a leader charge. And this game should be put to bed. For those of you asking on Twitch, so this is very similar to a lot of the meta decks out there. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of brain power to throw together an overwhelming Hunger Haunt deck. Just include Haunt, include Detlef Higher Vampire, Ikran, Ozril, Goliath go into any great monsters deck in my opinion. Sometimes I omit one of those 3 just to like screw with my opponent's brain, but that's taking a risk. I mean, those kind of are like the auto-include trio that go into any deck. Naglfar is broken good. We just went through how it is the best tutor. It's the best! It's the best tutor because you get 1 of 2 gold cards and then you get the other one into your hand for the next round. And it's the only tutor that is a tutorable tutor for a faction that is devotion that lets you get the scenario. Which again, that's kind of like a long way of saying things, but it's true. It's the only way. It's the only one. I guess you could say with Nilfgaard, the one that lets you look through 3 cards, but that's you don't get a guarantee of doing that. You could use like Albrick and then do that, but that's 2 cards, so I don't think it counts. 1, 2. Oh. Kind of tempted to go Ozril here, but feels a bit like an overplay. 17 points. This damage would get him up there with like an easy cheesy card, but then Champion's Charge is gone, so let's just take a pass. So the tweaks that we have done, biggest things I changed in this deck: Parasite I've added in, and I deleted Maruna and added Imperial Manticore. This is a good example. I mean, like, we could have done Maruna to steal over this Blacksmith, but if that's what you're doing, is like they've played 1 card and you're playing 1 card and using a leader charge, you might as well just use your other card, right? You might as well just use Imperial Manticore. 2 fewer provisions, same basic point, and you get an extra point on your side of the board. So you miss out grabbing engines like a drummer, for example, but I mean, that's kind of risky. This is a poor choice. He gets super lucky here. None of those hit the armor, but had they hit one of those armor, that would have been tied. So we get screwed by luck and by fate. But had one of those, just one of those hit the armor, he would have ended up tied in that game. So sadness for us. Sucks to suck, as they say. Here we don't have a great way of consuming the Foglet, but we'll keep it. Ardgaith is probably the best way out of this round if our opponent takes the straight pass. The reason is we get it back and we get Winter Queen, but yeah, she takes longer to get up with Devotion. So we're just gonna go here. Pretty cool. Fun play. The other thing about Ardgaith, using it like that, I can actually put it back in my deck if I want to. Just in case we draw into Gales. And there is reason for doing that here. Although I will say, we're gonna get two of these 3 cards from Naglfar. Obviously, it would have been better to have Naglfar earlier. Yes, that's all true. Wild Hunt Rider is probably the one I care less about. I don't know, this is kind of tough choices here. Foglet bulks up a unit, so that's going to be problematic. And then there you go. There we go. And there's your brick. So that sucks. But at least we get our 2 of our gold, so now we get guaranteed Haunt, which is really what we were going for, so. It's gonna suck to break into Gales. Again, like I said, in making this deck, Gales is something you could pull out. We just had to get consistency for making a video. It is something that's used by some of the top players. Personally, I don't think it's all that useful. He breaks into Raiding Fleet here, so we do get some parity in that vein. But he's otherwise useless. We need to keep 2 Death Wish units for Haunt. Which we'll go ahead and get out here soon. Now, if you ever wanted to, Greatswords make for tasty treats for Ozril.
Your skull will make a fine tanker.
So that is something to keep in mind. But Haunt is just so many points. We're just going to come down, drop down the Burbagazi here, and consume the Wild Hunt Rider. And Detlef plays out fine. Like, you can just put down Detlef and not worry about him until the end of the game. If the opponent kills him, great. Not a big deal at all. Skjordal for Desert Banshee is poor trade. We don't need to consume. Choices were made. We can go 1 more turn before we drop Ardgaith, so we're just going to go here. Use the Burbagazi to preserve value from this Wild Hunt Rider. We do need we do need you do need dominance for Bargus to get his ability off. Right here, he does have it against with the tie, but it is something worth paying attention to. So we might just want to consume this higher vampire just in order to get him going. But I anticipate maybe this Blood Eagle coming down against Bargus, unless they're missing a card, then get Els and Hjalmar to kill this Bargus, I'm guessing. Which is fine. Again, not my preferred outcome here. We might miss some value on Werecat, but we'll just count up the points. The opponent taking 3 more turns, so we just need to get Ardgaith out in order to make sure we get that full value. The opponent probably waiting for the Ozril to make the Arnulf play. So in order to get full value out of Werecat, we may just go for Ozril first. And just pray that the opponent row stacks as much as possible onto this melee row. Doesn't really matter what it is, it's going to die here pretty soon. There he is. Opponent playing to range is kind of a weird choice, because now we get full value from that Frost, which I'm not angry about. This really needs to be fixed by the developers. That ability to play Champion's Charge for the immediate kill is not something you can do with really any other faction, and I think that needs to be changed, in my opinion. I think like Imlerith's Wrath, you don't get it with that. So here Werecat just plays for 7 points, so we're just going to consume Detlef twice, since that's the most value. We did miss 1 consume here, so that was a little suboptimal. But otherwise, you know, that's pretty good. Down by 8 points here. I anticipate the opponent will be able to close that gap with a little bit of damage. They do have just enough Bloodthirst to be able to close that gap to get 9 points plus that extra damage there. So lucky play from the opponent in first round with Hemdall not hitting any of the armor on that Adrega Larva. Really kind of enraged me because we did count for that. But what are you gonna do? This deck's still the best! Still the best! I mean, we bricked into Gals. The opponent had crazy good luck round 1. Honestly, we knew Champion's Charge was coming. We probably should have tried to 2-0 the opponent. No, hey, look, I'm fine answering questions that are on stream. I think encourages people on YouTube to come visit Twitch, and I'm not doing anything right now. So what books do I read? I actually really like non-fiction books. I love, like, Michael Lewis is one of my favorite authors. And I love audiobooks. Law school ruined me for reading. I just don't like sitting down to read. It just, too many negative memories. I need more therapy for that first. Here we get Naglfar, and I actually like what we get with Naglfar here. So we're gonna get like Werecat, Striga, Goliath, Ozril, or Parasite, all of which are really good options. I don't really want to break here, so I think I might actually just take the pass since NL Conqueror is just a great thrive trigger. Going up against the best with the best. So it's the best versus the best. Who's the best? This is kind of a smart move to make in the in the current meta. Just because now it denies me value, right? I'm gonna go ahead and Drago Larvas here. So, obviously against Overwhelming Hunger, I don't know. Just get better draws. Ooh, alright. Fiend. If you can get a bunch of Death Wish cards, that's cool. He's only 4, so he usually plays for value. You can get really great value from him. Ooh, I love that he's in like the bear armor, Ursine armor. Pretty awesome. Stupid play though. We're just gonna go probably Ardgaith here. Now we get out Winter Queen. Granted, I blame him for stupid play, but we kind of just made one ourselves by putting her up. Best to be in red or blue coin for this matchup, chat asks. I would probably prefer red coin. I like, all things being equal, I always prefer red coin. And the reason for that being, it's just easier to get the stuff that I want going in the way that I want it. It's a removal deck, right? And so with removal decks, this is perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. And now we do want to get out probably like Manticore's useless for Ardgaith, so I think that's probably why some people are deleting it. We want to get out Foglet and then consume. Monster, I don't know that it's Devotion. Could rock Heatwave. That's fine. Then we each have. Then there's just one Icarin. You can also put Harpies in this deck. You can go for that bonded Harpy egg spawn. I don't find it to be great value. I find bonded cards are really hard to get together. It's why I hate Sentry and Enchantresses. We get the Thrives on front row. Yeah, but if he had like the exact same deck, this is a control deck. Like don't let it fool you. It's a control deck with crazy good points, right? This is good. He might steal Gael's though. Okay, he gets lucky with the draw there. But Gael's would have been straight trash garbage, right? So, yeah, I wouldn't have done that personally. Probably should have used leader building on Foglet. For some reason, I thought I had a Drago Warrior in hand. This is what happens when I'm filming and twitching. Here we want to go. I don't want Manticore. A 5 would be nice, but ultimately isn't really necessary. So we'll just be triggering Winter Queen. And this is a good example of why Maroon is just not that great. Obviously, you know, like Manticore is not looking super hot here, but even if I get a 6-point kill, he still represents 6 points of value. Squirrel coming down for Ardgaith, I'm guessing, which is honestly fine with me. It's good value, but not like crazy good value, right? And now he just gets tempoed out of this round. But a heat wave would be something that's very possible. We really need our Goliath for that. But consume on the NL Conqueror still works. Manticore's just gonna kill this Gael's, so by all means go for it. He's got to make up a large delta here. I'd like to go one more, so I think I'll play my Manticore. Yeah, let's play our Manticore. I didn't want to pass there because if he has Icarin in hand, he just needs that 13-point delta to get value. Here he gets the Harpy's Egg, which is cool. It's good points. But he's down in leader charges now. I'm actually going to do something crazy because I like being crazy. We're going to consume Icarin and then we're going to eat him with Ozril. Just because this is mirror match, I don't want the opponent taking advantage of my Icaron with Ozreal. This puts it out of reach for an Icaron, so he has to make 2 plays, and Icaron would have to be the next play in order for him to find full value. We still have 2 leader charges with Detlef and Haunt. I won't make another play, but I think this puts us 17 points ahead. He doesn't really have any other thrives here, so that play doesn't make any sense to me. You really need to go up in points in order to have any chance of winning. Werecat's either going to hit 2 armor here or just bulk points. Just a fine play. That's how you can play Werecat, but really bad. The opponent out of charges, down 2 cards. I mean, I think we'll be able to get a sense of how good their cards are pretty early this turn. I think NL Conquerors and Dregalarv are both pretty good. I don't want to break into Foglets. I'd like to get Wild Hunt Riders more than and Dregalarve. Striga would be nice. Goliath would be good. Werecat would probably be fine. This is pretty nice. Pretty happy here. And we'll keep NL Conqueror in case the opponent just dry passes. And he does. We don't have 2 Death Wish units, so that was a little bit of a bluff call on my part. Tianalia! Parasite is really an eye catcher, says Alpar in chat. Oh man, I gotta come up with more. I gotta come up with more of these jokes. That's great. Yeah, it really is an eye catcher. Oh my gosh, it's not as bad as Tryptophobia. Oh my gosh, I hate her. Okay, I don't want to break into the second one of him. I don't really need the extra consume. Unless I got like Werecat, but I'm gonna get 2 of them from that. Okay, we'd get Werecat, is nice. Really, I'd just be digging for Goliath, which would be nice, but I really don't want to break into Wild Hunt Rider, so we're just gonna call this good. We'll just get out the other one right here. The opponent needs to play Haunt here in order to find value. Maybe they get both Dregalarvas out. That would be cool for them. A little bit dangerous, though. A little bit dangerous. Here we're going to remove both of them, most likely with Striga. But we'll go for Haunt first because we need to trigger these Death Wishes. Again, if you're just playing for time, Detlef is a good way to just kind of bide your time. And here again, we're going to be able to remove 2 of the 4 of these. So I'm not really worried about it. We will need something to consume, so we're going to just drop down Detlef here. And the reason for that is the next card played is Barghest. So you just want to make sure you have a target for him. That almost certainly locks in our dominance. And then Desert Banshee is going to get boosted for the Werecat and Noonwraith plays. So if I was worried about the opponent just removing her in some way, I would go ahead and boost her up. But those 2 points aren't all that critical. I'd be more worried about the 5 points of erasure just happening from the loss of Detlef. Here she's just spawned, not played. But they will play 2 cards, so I do need Auto Striga to find value. Now the question here is where to do it. They're out of leader charges, so while I was planning on killing a Dregalarva, this is a much meaner way to go about getting value. And then we're just actually going to go here and consume this hired vampire. We'll do it next turn. I do want to make sure that the opponent doesn't have dominance in the event that the opponent's going for it with that Barghest play, but we can play around that pretty well. I think the best way of going about that is actually Werecat here. Now he does get summoned to a random row, so Werecat would do it for us. Let's go ahead here and just knock him down a peg. So the opponent needs dominance in order to be able to use that consume on that Detlef Higher Vampire. They do have another Bargus, so that's gonna get it for them. That does get them the dominance. So the Bargus, a great include in the deck. Poor choice here though. We get one. And we'll just go for this one. Opponent down to 8 points and taking the pass. Opponent has forfeited. We win the game. This deck is the best. It's the best. All right, so that's 3 games in total. 2 out of 3. The middle one, I still blame on really terrible draws for us and really great draws for the opponent. And super great luck with that stupid Hemdall. But anyway, until next time, seriously, you only need to hit 1 out of the 2 armor, right? Just 1 out of the 2. Both of them would have nerfed his game. Anyway, until next time, let me know what you guys think. Post it down in the comments below. I hope you really enjoy this deck. Use it for ladder, use it, etc. It's a great deck. I hope you enjoy it. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for Thirsty Thursdays. We're bringing some spice. Until then, good luck on the path and keep on Gwenting.